We are going to continue our NHL offseason plan series. Today we're looking at the 20th ranked team from the regular season, the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think it's fair to say that they had a pretty good, somewhat surprising season. What can they do to build upon that? In today's video, we'll discuss the expectations on how they're going to handle their internal business with their restricted, unrestricted free agents. What will they do when it comes to free agency, the draft, draft selections, trades, and how will this team be reshaped for next year? We'll discuss all that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we look at the Columbus Blue Jackets and examine their season and look at what we feel their offseason plan should be to prepare for next year. Give us a snapshot here, what we think they're going to do in a variety of ways here over the course of the summer. So we'll take a look at how last year went, recap, and kind of analyze that a bit before we dive into looking at their cap space, internal business. So who's on expiring contracts? What are they going to do in free agency? What are they going to do with the draft? What kind of trades will they make? That type of stuff to analyze how this team will be ready and shaped differently for next year. So let's first start by recapping the 24-25 season. Take a look at some of the team numbers and start analyzing how things went. As I mentioned, they finished with a record of 40, 33, and 9 for 89 points. They really weren't that far off from making the playoffs. I think a lot of people thought this team would finish much lower in the standings, and they surprised many. I mean, obviously, this team, before the season ever started, towards the end of the summer, was, the whole hockey world was rocked by it. But of course, this team was affected more than anybody else with the, unimaginable tragedy where Johnny Gaudreau and his brother were unfortunately killed in an accident. Losing, your most productive player. I mean, especially by those means, it's absolutely crushing. Like I said, not only with the team probably just completely numb with what happened and just shocked. Then to have to pick up the pieces weeks later to go into training camp and try to focus on getting ready for your season. Like, it just was a case of, really just, I just don't know how you deal with that. But this team seemed to rally around it and bond over, becoming a stronger team to deal with this. And they really had a surprising year. So they ended up scoring 267 goals, which was 12th best. I mean, that was a bit of a surprise. The year before, they had only scored 237. So they scored 30 more goals this past year, which is a big impact, big improvement. Goals against, they allowed 267. The year before, they allowed 300. So they had improved in that area by 33. That's a net gain of 63 goals. So they scored 30 more, and they kept 33 out of the net. I mean, that's an incredible improvement. The power play was okay. It wasn't fantastic. 19.5%, 22nd in the league. The penalty kill was also 22nd at 77%. So specialty teams were okay, but not fantastic. I mean, look at the year over year. They had a massive jump. They went from a record of 27, 43, and 12 for 66 points, near the bottom of the league, to almost getting into the playoffs with 89 points. First-year coach and Dean Evison, first-year GM and Don Waddell, made massive improvements. I mean, this team went through a lot of change, and obviously, like I said, it was kind of rocked by tragedy in the late days of summer, not long before training camp was to get underway. So for them to come in, and he said with Waddell and Evison still being new to their jobs, just remarkable how this team pulled together. The goaltending stats were not the greatest. Elvis Merzlikins had a record of 26, 21, and 5, but an .892 save percentage, 3.18 goals against. That's not good enough for a starter for your team to really be more successful and be a playoff team. Daniil Tarasov didn't have a great season either. 7, 10, and 2, a 3.54 goals against, and an .881 save percentage, so even worse than Elvis. But Jet Greaves, on the other hand, was the bright spot. He just didn't get a lot of chances to play until later in the year. He ended up getting a call-up and went 7, 2, and 2 with a 1.91 goals against and a .938 save percentage. Now, I know it's not a ton of games, but in 11 games, Jet Greaves looked way better than either of the other two guys. So I have to wonder and think that they're going to give him more opportunity next year, and rightfully so. I mean, their scoring leaders, they were led by defenseman Zach Werenski, who certainly went on a bit of a tear and had a career season that way, 82 points, nominated for the Norris Trophy. Kirill Marchenko had a big year as well, 74 points. And then Kent Johnson and Sean Monahan 57 points. That's the other part of this as well. Not only were the Blue Jackets, in like I said, the whole hockey world dealing with the Johnny Gaudreau tragedy, but Sean Monahan, goes to Columbus as a free agent to reunite with his best friend, Johnny Gaudreau. He signs in Columbus on, I think it was a 5-year deal. Long-time teammates in Calgary, great friends, both at a new stage in their life, with a young family now. Monahan wanting to be teammates with Gaudreau and be, live close to each other, and their kids can grow up together, families can be close, and none of that got to happen again. By the time if we ever got to the season, unfortunately, Johnny wasn't with us anymore. It's just completely, sad on how everything played out. And like I said, this team had every reason just to kind of fold and to be a weak link in the NHL this year, and they did not. They found the resilience, they found the fight, and they had a heroic play in Johnny's honor. We can say that for sure. Going into this offseason, this team has $40 million in cap space. So they have all kinds of flexibility and room that way. They do have 18 contracts on the books for next year, so they don't need a ton of players, but some of those players are obviously eligible to go to the minors as well. So depending on who they find and who they re-sign here, there's going to be opportunities to improve this roster without having to move out a ton of players. Looking at their internal business or their expiring contracts, restricted free agents this year include Dmitry Voronkov, Jordan Harris, and Danil Tarasov. I wonder about Tarasov. I don't know what the future is going to hold for him. Do they go? I don't know that the team can go with a Tarasov-Greaves combo. I know Elvis has another year in his contract, but we'll get into that here in the next segment. But he's the question mark here in this RFA group. But Harris and Voronkov are definitely going to get contracts. It's just a matter of how long and what the cost is. I don't think they'll be super expensive, but still deals that you need to look after. On the UFA side, a bunch of players that may or may not be back. A couple questionable ones. You're looking at Ivan Provorov being the most prominent in this group. They have to make a decision there. He was certainly one of their better D. So does Provorov want to be back or not? So they have to decide how that's going to work out. You've got James Van Riemsdyk, Sean Corrali, Christian Fischer, Kevin LeBanc, Luke Kunin, Justin Danforth, Jack Johnson, and Dante Fabro. I think Fabro will get a deal. They got him earlier in the year from Nashville on waivers. So, I suspect Fabro will get a signing. Maybe Kunin, I don't know. At the same time, like some of these veteran UFA guys, I think some of them are certainly open to returning, but I'm not sure exactly how the team feels, and they're probably going to explore a few things before making decisions, because a lot of these guys they're okay, but they're certainly replaceable too. So they need to have some tough decisions there on those. But I don't expect too many of those UFAs to be back, but they could probably bring back a few, but not sure. I think they can find some upgrades there. There's certainly a number of players that are eligible for contract extensions. I'm not sure you're going to see too many of them get done. Maybe a couple. Captain Boone Jenner is one for sure. I know they really like Jenner and how he plays, so I wouldn't be surprised if they figure that out around early July. So look for a Boone Jenner extension to be a pretty likely scenario that we see. Yegor Chinnikov and Cole Sillinger and Adam Fantilli. I have no doubt Fantilli is a player for sure that they want to keep around long term. So I'm not sure what Fantilli's point of view is on this. Does he want to wait and see if he can take his stats up another level before signing? He is RFA, so it's not like you have to worry about losing him, but certainly something the Jackets should probably try to get ahead of, because it only gets more expensive typically as these guys continue to improve. So Fantilli, Sillinger, Chinnikov are all younger players you might see with extensions. Maybe Eric Branson, Jet Greaves. I would maybe try to get ahead of a Jet Greaves situation and extend him for at least a year or two at a pretty reasonable price. And then you might have some pretty good cheap goaltending if he works out and continues to play the way he has. But Branson, I'm not so sure. He may or may not. They could very well... I'm not sure. I think he's replaceable too. Obviously, they have a lot of young players on this team that they're going to be looking for more and more opportunity for. So a quick, what are the top questions facing this franchise in this offseason? The big one to me is, can you fix the goaltending? I think you need to find a way to move Elvis. I know last year when Don Waddell first took over the team, he made comments that Elvis would love to get moved and be get a fresh start somewhere, but his contract and his play didn't really generate, it didn't allow them to have that opportunity. And there really wasn't enough interest to really find something that made sense. So, now that we're down to 1 year, there's a better chance that they can trade him. They might have to retain salary. They could consider a buyout. Either way, I don't suspect Elvis to be back next year. I think they'll find a way to move on from this contract. I think it's time. Like I said, Tarasov, I'm not sold on yet, so I don't know really what you do there. Greaves, I would definitely look to get more opportunity because he played really well in the limited games he did get. Otherwise, you're looking to the market, whether it be in free agency or via trade. And on the free agent market this year, there's not really much there for anybody who's really a starting goaltender. There's guys who have been starters, but have been more recently put in a backup role. Like you're looking at some of the better goalies in the free agent market, assuming they are not re-signed, would be like Jake Allen out of New Jersey, Anton Forsberg out of Ottawa. There's not a ton of guys that are actively been starters recently. So to me, they're either make a trade. Maybe do you look to a guy like John Gibson out of Anaheim, or something like that, or maybe they find another piece somewhere else. I don't know, but they need to fix the goaltending. I don't know exactly who the perfect target is for them, but that has to be a very big priority for Waddell. They also, like I said, have some notable contracts expiring on the back end, so they have some key decisions on that blue line to make. Like I said, Provorov being a big one. Do you extend Gudbranson, or do you maybe consider moving him with a year left, or do you kind of let that ride out and see how it goes first? You have a veteran in Johnson, a younger guy in Fabro who did okay. So I'd probably try to sign Fabro, keep him around. He's not going to cost too much. You're not going to have to give him a lot of term, 1 or 2 years. But Provorov is the big question mark there. Obviously, Werenski, holding things down as the top D. Is thankful to have him there, but and you have some young guys looking for more and more opportunity too. So we'll see how things go with Columbus, but they definitely have some big decisions to make on their blue line, starting with Provorov. Speaking of their blue line, one of the worst contract, or one of the worst, if not the worst on the team, is Severson, in my opinion. The Severson contract has not worked out. They brought him over from New Jersey. New Jersey, of course, was looking to make room on their blue line because they were bringing in, a couple of years ago, like Dougie Hamilton, and they had Luke Hughes coming to the draft and all that. And it just didn't make sense for Damon Severson to stay with the Devils. He was a pending UFA, and he got a longer-term deal from Columbus via trade. And it's not aged well. We've seen times where he's been healthy scratch, where he's been limited ice time, kind of benched. You got 5 years left at over $6 million. I don't know that you can do anything with it, but that is an anchor on the back end. You're probably hoping he can bounce back and find a way to play better, but that is not looking good. And if you can find a way out of that, I'm not sure if Waddell has any magic that way, then you do it. But otherwise, it's going to be tough to do. At the 2025 NHL Draft, they have picks number 14, which is their own, and number 20, which originally was the Minnesota Wild. From what we've heard from Don Waddell, both picks are open to be traded. He is not necessarily sold on using either for picks. Doesn't mean he'll trade both for sure, but he's very open to it and would almost prefer, by the sounds of things, to use those to make trades for immediate help. They obviously saw what they did this year. I think they like a lot of things about their team, but know there's some pieces missing to get over the hump. So don't be surprised at all if at least one of those first-round picks ends up getting traded in exchange for a player who can come into their roster and make an impact. And maybe that's a goaltender. Maybe that's one of the top ways they go about getting one. We'll have to see. As far as free agency goes, they have lots of space. They got $40 million. Even after you sign a few of your RFAs and you bring back a couple of UFAs, you're still going to have $30 million or probably something ridiculous left. So now, of course, you're going to have some of that money eaten up by contract extensions by some of your young players the next year or two. You don't need to go completely wonky here, but would they be a team that would go big game hunting for some of the top free agents? Could we see, assuming he makes it there, would they go for Marner? Is Mitch Marner a target for Columbus? I mean, Columbus, if everybody's saying Marner's, if he leaves Toronto, that he's probably not going to another Canadian market. He's probably going to the U.S. He's probably going to a team with a quieter media market. where he can, obviously play with some good young talent and whatever. And there's going to be lots of opportunities for Mitch, I believe. I think, Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense. San Jose makes a lot of sense. I think Chicago makes sense, although we've heard that they're probably not looking to do that. Some other teams in that area. I wondered about the Islanders. So we'll have to see about Mitch, but I do wonder if Columbus could be a player there, and they have the space to do it. So why not take a stab? These players don't come available that often, so we'll see. So they could go big game hunting in free agency. They got some draft picks to do some stuff with, and they need to really fix their goaltending, make a few key decisions on the blue line, and then see what else they can add here to maybe make that forward group just a little bit deeper. But overall, if they can pick up where they left off this year, there's lots to like about this team, and think that they can maybe, to me, honest too, the Metro Division is not really that deep and strong compared to some of the other ones. So to make, that much gains in 1 year, it's not unreasonable to think. I really think they can be a team that's in the mix for playoffs next year, depending on how things go. So let me know your thoughts on the Blue Jackets' expectations in the offseason, and we will discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.